Hey, my YouTube family. How are you guys doing? I hope you're doing well. And thanks for joining me in part 2 of the WestCreek JX-20. So if you watched part 1, you've seen that it was pretty obvious that there are problems with this guitar. So this is WestCreek's first attempt at making a Fender style S-type guitar. So there's a bunch of stuff that they would have had to have changed. And I don't know how it works, but I'm assuming their factory line needs to get all updated on this stuff and the building techniques. I'll guarantee that these guys and gals building these guitars in their factory are not guitar players. They're just doing what they're told, and they're using whatever equipment they have at their disposal, and they're putting these together. And for the most part, it's pretty good. Today, we're going to rip this thing apart. I'm going to give you all the specs I can, and we are going to see if we can turn this thing into a gig-worthy machine. Product specifications, model number is the JX-20. The body is mahogany. Color name of mine is Victorian white. Here it weighs 4.65 kilograms. Fretboard material type is rosewood. Configuration for pickups is HSS. String material type is stainless steel. So I had people commenting in the first video that these had stainless steel frets. They're not stainless steel frets. It doesn't say anywhere that it's stainless steel, but it does say string material type is stainless steel. The Musi stuff all has stainless steel frets, but the WestCreek stuff, like all their Gibson models, they just have nickel frets on them. Scale length is 25.5 inches, and manufacturer WestCreek guitars. So that's it for the specs online, very vague. So let's get right down to business. Before I tear it apart, we'll get as many specs as we can. There's some stuff, spec-wise that I could care less about that you guys are probably like, oh my gosh, it has to have this, or it has to be this thick at the 12th fret, or whatever. I don't care. So long as it plays well, right? I really don't care. So, but I'll try and get you as much as I can, and hopefully I don't, oversee anything that you guys were hoping for. If so, leave a comment and I'll get back to you. All right. So this thing weighs 7.2 pounds. Amazon's weight spec is way off. They're saying 4.65 kilograms for the item weight. That must be packaged up in a box ready for shipping, because that would mean that it would weigh 10.25 pounds. And I said on the first video, this was right around 7 pounds, and I was right. Humbucker is coming in at 15.59. Middle pickups coming in at 5.58. And the neck pickup is coming in at 5.44. Position number 4, so neck and middle, 2.77. Position number 2, so middle and bridge, 4.15. Split the coils on the humbucker. I didn't even know that did that in my first video. So when you split the coil, it drops it to 8.16. And in position number 2, with the split coil, we get 3.34. So there you go. There are your specs. Width at the nut, we have 42 millimeter. Width at the 12th fret, we have 52 millimeter. Thickness, with the strings on, at the 1st fret, 23 millimeter. At the 12th fret, 25 millimeter. Body thickness, 44 millimeter. My Mexican Strat is 45 millimeter at its thickest point. That's pretty much it for the specs. Let's start the disassembly and we'll have a look at how this is made. Get these old strings off. Before I go too far, I wanted to show you these string trees. They look like roller types, but they're not. They're just one solid piece. And I like these better than the butterfly ones. However, unless I can find spacers, in my junk box, I'll be replacing these because they are way too low. Like there's way too much like string breakage down here. It doesn't need to be that low. There doesn't need to be that much tension at the nut. Like, look back here, how low that is. There's no need for that. So I'm going to either change those string trees out or add some spacers underneath, because I think I may actually have some. Not reusing these. So let's see if these strings come out of the bridge easily or if they're all bound up in there. No problem with the first three. Oh, we're all good. And I know you guys noticed that as soon as I popped them out, but these are colored ball ends. This almost looks like the Dario strings, but they sure don't feel or sound like them. My camera's actually charging as I'm filming this, so I turned the guitar around to give you a better shot of the headstock, because we're going to check these tuners out. So like I said in the first video, the heads feel good. There's no play in the heads, and there's very, very little play in these posts. Actually none in the first three. And 4, 5, and 6, there's a very slight amount of play in there. Very good. Better than most guitars that I get in here. Those are all snug as well. This is sort of like a yellow electrical tape. Roll it up, jam it in your tuning peg, and then just take your winder and start counting. So we want to get this piece of tape back to where it starts. So the winder, I'm going to set it on the bottom this way, and here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 to 1 tuners. Now you guys are probably saying, the tape is over here at 9, so it's going to be 18. But hey, you know what? Just, it's for entertainment purposes. Yep, they are. They're threaded into the body. These screws are a little bit warped. You guys won't see that, but if I put them between my finger like this and turn them, you can see that the top of the post is doing this. And so yeah, 2 of them are at least. Probably put some better screws in there. It's in there pretty good. Let's see here. It takes some force to push it in there. Let's have a look here. Nice. Barely any pips sticking out there, so that's good. So I think this neck is going to be really good once I address the rough frets. We have a shim, a really tiny one. I'm going to need a bigger one because look at where the saddles are. Do you see the angle that they're coming up at? So they're angled pretty good already. They can come up a bit more, but if you remember from the first video, or if you haven't seen the first video, the action is way too high as it is, and I've already set the relief. So the neck was already good, which means that these saddles would have to come down. And if they come down a lot more than they are now, I'm gonna have, these screws are gonna be way up through the top of these saddles. I have shorter ones, but still. So I'd like to keep these saddles roughly at the height where they are now, maybe just a smidge higher. So, which means I'm gonna need a bigger shim in the bottom part of this neck pocket. Speaking of which, this neck pocket is not super pretty. It almost looks like they hacked at it with a chisel. It's rough. Like there's a... No, the edges aren't bad. Like they're really nice. but the bottom isn't smooth. And there's a lip here at the back edge. So maybe if I take that lip off, then I won't need a shim, because it's going to back the neck up at the back of the neck pocket. Anyway, definitely going to have to do some sanding in here to get this nice and smooth. And I want to get some nice wood on wood contact. But you can see that this is clearly mahogany. Moving along. At least none of these are stripped. And there's only 5 screws holding this pickguard in. Let's see what we have here. We have full-size pot. We have a push-pull. We have real Alnico pickups. So SS 620XH neck pickup. Here we have SS 620XH, exactly the same. And it says middle. This one, the humbucker, it says HS 630XH CR. And it says bridge. Just a cheap box switch, plastic box switch. It feels pretty good. So WestCreek gives you some options here. We can go humbucker up here at the neck, single coil, and humbucker. So if you want to do some mods, you definitely can. There's a bunch of crap in here. However, these neck pockets are unbelievably smooth. So yeah, these are like unreal well made. They're super smooth. I mean, there's a clear coat on top of it, but still, like, there's no pipping, splintering, or anything. It's really nice. But then up here, where the router bit was kind of bouncing around all over the place here. So I have a router bit on my Tremolo. I might try just to smooth that out a little bit. Other than that, everything looks great. I'm going to shield all these cavities with copper shielding paint. It's just something I like to do on all my guitars that don't have shielding paint. Yeah, all right. Let's leave that for a bit. And we'll check out that claw. Take this claw out of there. Jeepers. Definitely a gyprock screw. See that? Man, what were they thinking? Gyprock screws. Wow. This is a gyprock screw that was holding that claw in place, whereas this is a typical claw screw. See the difference? It's a lot bigger in diameter and it's a lot longer. Yeah, definitely got to upgrade to these. All right, you guys are going to like this one. So I took out these ferrules that were in the back of the neck, right? Because I want to drill out the holes. Check this. See that? Inside these holes, underneath these ferrules, they drilled these ferrule holes too deep. So they filled the hole with washers, these little tiny washers. So look, there's 1, 2, 3 in this one. 1, 2, 3 in that one. 3 in this one. And 1, 2, 3, 4 in this one. Oh my gosh. So so probably, you know, they countersunk these too deep. They went to put these in. They realized, wow, these are sinking way below. They're not flush with the body. So let's build them up with these washers. The problem is these washers are way smaller than the ferrule. See that? So if you build them up, 4 of them thick, you end up having something like this underneath the ferrule, which the screw digs into, and that's pulling the neck up from the bottom. And then, so really, these little washers are like digging into the wood, right? And this ferrule isn't solid the whole way around. How would that pass quality control? They probably had a time crunch to get these guitars done, packaged up on the boat to North America so they could be sold with Amazon, and just rushed it, right? Maybe WestCreek doesn't know about this. Maybe some guy on the line was like, oh, these are way too deep. I better fill those. So he grabbed whatever he could find, right? Anyway, I'm not leaving that like that. So what I found is I went through my junk drawer and I thought, hey, these tuner washers might work. So I got these crappy tuners from, you know, a guitar that I totally modded and overhauled. And so if you look at these washers, they're way thicker and they're bigger. And when you size them up against these ferrules, they're exactly the same size. See that? So if I put 2 of those per hole with a little bit of super glue, get them in there, then I have a really nice, strong, solid base. These fit in there perfectly. I don't think you need super glue. There we go. Now, at least, we have support across the full width of the hole. Should be good. Look at the size of this block. Holy smokes. This thing is heavy. That's awesome. I like that sustain block. As far as the bridge plate goes, nothing fancy about it. But man, oh man, this thing is crazy. So there's a little screw right here that allows you to set the tension for the trem bar. So right now this thing is just loose. And it's the same Allen wrench to adjust the action screws, like the string height screws on your saddles. So you give this a couple turns, snug it up, and there you go. Your trem bar is now attached. All right, cavities are shielded, looks good. Pocket, it's nice and flat. Sanded the pocket, it's great. So now I don't know if I will need a shim, but anyway. So all that's left to do is frets. I'm gonna check if they're high or not. But that's gonna be it for today. So yeah, some interesting surprises there. It's come along though. It's going to take a part 3, guys. I don't want these to be too long. You guys take care, God bless, and I will see you in part 3.